Have you noticed there has been like a switch in what are the it brands? What are the cool makeup brands that everyone is using that are like super hyped up? And I mean, obviously there are always going to be brands that are more and less popular and like the popularity will fluctuate, but I've noticed a pretty big shift. And today I want to talk about the brands that are out and the brands that are in. Now I'm using these words loosely because I still purchase a lot of things and love a lot of products from brands that are out, shall we say, but I want to talk about what are like the it brands right now. What is everybody talking about? At least here in the beauty space. The funny part is the brands that are out, if you will, I would say are a lot of brands that average consumers that maybe are not as involved in this community are still buying. I did a video about that probably a year and a half ago at this point about brands that the beauty community kind of hates on that actually sell really well and are super popular. Maybe I should do an updated version of that. Let me know if you'd like to see it. But today we will talk about what is new, what is up and coming. So I, first of all, find it funny to think back on the brands that were super popular even a good 5 years ago. Like you could not watch a favorites video without being flooded with Anastasia Beverly Hills. That one especially. Lots of Tarte, lots of Urban Decay, lots of Too Faced. And funny enough, I do have a series on my channel called The Rise and Fall of Blank. And in that series, we know we're not always necessarily talking about like the absolute biggest downfall, but like brands that maybe have lost some hype, the public perception of them might have shifted, and I have covered all of those brands. I will actually leave that playlist link down below if you want to watch it. But even MAC is one like 10 years ago. That was everywhere. Actually, at this point, maybe even more than 10 years ago. But I remember on beauty YouTube when I first started watching videos on YouTube about makeup, it was MAC everything. Like if you were watching beauty content at that time, MAC was the standard. Like you could be watching a makeup review for a completely different brand, but MAC would still be referenced all throughout the video. Like if they would say, I wear this shade in a MAC foundation, or like this is similar to MAC blank. And that's just because that brand was so prominent and well known at the time that was like a very relevant reference point to compare everything to MAC. And even looking at more recent years, Anastasia Beverly Hills represents that somewhat to me. I'm picturing an eyeshadow review maybe a few years ago, you would hear the comparison to the Anastasia Beverly Hills formula. Like, oh, it's pigmented like ABH, or like it has kick up like ABH. But I don't really hear about these brands the same way anymore because they have been replaced by the following. Okay, first of all, I wanted to kind of get some input. So I asked a few of my creator friends in the space, what do you think are the it brands right now? You know, I already had my list before reaching out, but I kind of wanted to cross-reference and see like, are we kind of on the same page? Are there some similarities here? And I did see a range of answers, but there was one brand that everyone said. And can you guess that one brand? It was Kosas. Okay, Kosas is definitely like the it brand of the moment. I see it so frequently, and I think a lot of that comes from the help of two specific products, one being their concealer, which I used to love, no longer have that one, but the second one being this powder. The Cloud Set from Kosas is definitely a crowd favorite. I was on the Sephora website earlier looking over bestsellers because I was thinking about maybe doing another bestsellers video, and of course, this is one of their best-selling powders. No surprise there. It's such a beautiful, lightweight, baked formula. It still like lets some luminosity shine through to it. More recently, I have been testing this out. This is like such a polarizing product from Kosas. It's their new Dream Beam sunscreen. It's SPF 40. And today was my second time applying this. First time, I hated it. I was like, okay, wait, what's going on with this? The first day that I wore this, I tried applying it over a moisturizer. I applied my moisturizer, let it sink in for honestly at least 30 to 45 minutes. Like it had definitely done its thing. And then I went in with this. It didn't work. It was like peeling straight off my face. Like I was trying to apply it and it was coming off at the same time I was trying to blend it in. Like it was a disaster. But today I'm like, okay, let me give it another chance. I applied it this morning without anything else. Like I did not do any serums, any moisturizer first, just this. And it's wearing really well on its own. That being said, I kind of, sometimes I want to be able to apply an AM skincare routine before I do my sunscreen. So I'm going to keep testing this. I'll give you some like final thoughts when I do a speed reviews coming up, but I'm so on the sunscreen. But Kosas in general, I feel like I see it everywhere, even among like celebrities and celebrity makeup artists, especially that revealer concealer. Like I cannot watch a tutorial without seeing Kosas revealer concealer. And I feel like they have a lot of good products, but I actually don't love everything from Kosas. This is a hot take, but like their brow gel, did not like it. Found it to be a little bit too globby and heavy, weighed down my brows. I didn't get much hold from that. Their 10-second like liquid eyeshadows, those are horrible. They just like do not budge. So it's funny. I feel like Kosas is so hyped up, but for me, they're definitely hit or miss. I have some huge standouts from the brand, but not everything is a favorite. That is one brand though I've been debating filming a dedicated video for. So let me know if you'd like to see that. I've been going back and forth between like a full face of Kosas or just like reviewing everything I've tried, like best and worst of the brand. Let me hear your thoughts. The next one that I really feel like is It Makeup by Mario. And this is a brand I have not tried yet. And I feel like I am always perusing the Sephora website and like looking over their stuff because I want to try something from this brand. But surprisingly, nothing has like truly stood out to me. And I think a lot of that is because I am in my powder phase right now. I don't prefer cream products as much in this very moment. And I feel like Makeup by Mario is really well known for a lot of their cream face products. But there is one that is kind of getting me, and I'm like, I kind of want to get this, but I don't need to buy any blushes, so I'm not going to get this. But their new cream blushes, okay, I blame Lauren May Beauty because she did a video trying on different blushes, and the one shade that she wore in this, I think it was the shade Barely Blushing, it was so beautiful. It was this like super desaturated, like barely there blush, which is kind of what I'm into right now. And then I was like, okay, well now I'm kind of intrigued by that. But Makeup by Mario, so hyped up. I feel like I see this so much on the internet, and I think a lot of the buzz comes from the fact that it is Mario. It is the very, very well-known makeup artist that does Kim Kardashian's makeup. And even though it is a newer brand, I know so many people are excited about it just based on that association with Mario. And that has been a bit of a pattern throughout this video. A lot of the brands that I think of as really well-known at the moment have someone also well-known associated with them. So that's going to lead us into this one right here. We have, of course, Rare Beauty. This is Selena Gomez's makeup brand. I only own one thing from Rare, which I know is shocking. I have the highlight in the shade Enchant. I do want to try some more from the brand in the future. There's just nothing in this very moment that I feel like I need to buy. But I have heard, honestly, pretty much only positive things about Rare Beauty. This highlight that I have, I do enjoy. And one thing I really like about this brand in particular is the price point. Because even though it is a Sephora brand, it is high-end, it sits on the lower end of high-end. Like, it's not as luxuriously priced as a lot of other brands at Sephora, which is really refreshing these days because makeup prices have been going up and up and up. But Rare Beauty, I find most of their products much more competitively priced than other brands in that realm. And I feel like Rare is one of the few celebrity brands, aside from Fenty, that I've seen so much like true hype and excitement for. And I feel like they're doing something right. Another notable one, we have to talk about Charlotte Tilbury. This is like the internet's darling right now. Like, oh my gosh, you cannot escape Charlotte Tilbury, which I find so fascinating because this is a very highly priced brand. This is definitely sitting in the luxury price point, and I don't always think it's worth it. I'm gonna be honest. I have a full video reviewing everything I've tried from Charlotte Tilbury, talking about the best and worst. I also have dupes in that video, so I can leave that link down below. I do like Charlotte Tilbury, and I do use my products that I've purchased from this brand frequently because I always feel like luxurious using them. Like, it is a good experience using the products, but do I think the products are always, like, the price point always is justified with the products? No, not really. But you can tell the internet loves this brand because every brand is trying to dupe it. And it's not even just drugstore brands at this point. Like, high-end brands are now trying to dupe Charlotte Tilbury and price things like just a few dollars less than Charlotte Tilbury. A brand that I did not have on my original list, but when I asked my friends, Lauren actually mentioned this one. And I was like, okay, how did I not consider e.l.f.? The turnaround that e.l.f. has had has been so fascinating to watch, especially because I remember when everything from e.l.f. was $1. And then it was big news when they launched their $3 line of like their studio products that were higher quality. And I remember when I first started getting into makeup when I was in high school, I exclusively bought e.l.f. because I was like a broke high school student. I had no money. Even other drugstore brands were like too expensive for me. So e.l.f. was like that go-to brand, and like most of my products from e.l.f. were $1, and then every once in a while I would splurge on the $3 ones. So that alone is like so fascinating to watch, and now see they have products like $13, $14, $15. But the way that e.l.f. has remained so relevant in the last few years is fascinating to me, especially when a lot of other drugstore brands seem to have maybe fallen off a bit. e.l.f. is like an internet favorite of the moment, and I think so much of it is because they're duping everyone. e.l.f. is another brand that I've done a full video about, but it was a little bit older. It was last summer, and they've launched so much since then that at one point I need to do an updated version on like the best and worst of e.l.f. They are one of my favorite drugstore brands. I wouldn't say they're like my tip-top favorite, but I get why people love e.l.f. so much. And I think they make really high quality makeup a lot more accessible. Like so many of their formulations feel high-end to me. And even though, yes, their prices have gone up, their quality has really improved with it. So I definitely get the e.l.f. hype. I also categorized my list into ones that I feel like are a little bit more up and coming. They don't have like the absolute spotlight at the moment, but we are definitely starting to see these brands. And the first one I wrote was Merit. Merit, I haven't tried a ton from, but their bronzer stick I really do love. I mentioned this in my favorites for 2022. I think this is just like such an effortless formula. And one pattern that you have likely noticed in this video is that a lot of the brands that I feel like we've identified as being really buzzed about in this moment, they specialize in a very specific style of makeup. And it's definitely more of that minimal, glowy, like more sheer, less high pigment, like a little bit more natural. And so it's kind of unsurprising to me that they have become so popular, because that's the shift we've noticed in makeup trends. And it makes sense that a few years ago, like Anastasia Beverly Hills was so popular, because they make more of that full glam look that was so trendy in 2016. And now as more like your skin but better, or sheer coverage, or skin tint vibes, now that that is more popular, it's like, okay, yeah, duh, makes sense that Kosas and Merit are so big right now. This one is definitely more like up and coming. I don't think it's having its moment yet, but I see this happening with KELLYG. The only thing I've tried from this brand is the mascara, but it is one of my favorites. This is a mini. I do have the full size too, though. And do you know what's interesting? KELLYG was actually started by the founder of Urban Decay. And that is a theme for the next brand I'm going to talk about. It was also started by a founder of a brand that is now huge. So that's why I'm like, what's going to be happening with KELLYG? I didn't even realize that truly until recently, but Wendy, who founded Urban Decay, she posted something on her Instagram about KELLYG, and I saw it and I was like, wait, I had no idea that she created this brand. And same goes for Jones Road. This was started by Bobby Brown. It's been interesting to watch how popular Jones Road has become, while still not being sold really at any major beauty retailers. They're not at Ulta, they're not at Sephora, and yet I see them all over like beauty videos. I've been raving about this pink powder. I love this stuff. Even like their eyeshadow, specifically in the shade So Pretty, is just like one of the most beautiful sparkly shadows I've seen. I know the What the foundation was super polarizing, but I think just the amount of conversation we heard about that one product brought so much buzz to the brand. I know some of it was positive and some of it was negative, but it got everyone talking about Jones Road. And I feel like Jones Road, KELLYG, Merit, those are some of my brands kind of to watch right now. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think are the it brands? What are you really excited about? I'm so curious to hear, but thank you so much for watching, and I will go ahead and see you in my next one. Bye.